So if you let that fear side grow up to its natural logical conclusions, you'll have, 3% of the individuals will control 95% of all of the worth, and everybody else is a peasant. And these will all be hierarchical. You're going to have a bunch of hierarchical things with the guy on top, and then the next level down, the next level down, until you get down to the peasants at the bottom of this pyramid. Instead of what's in it for me, it's how can I help? It's just that kind of an attitude. So if you look at this, you see we've kind of derived a whole lot of things about us. Not only have we derived the answer to this paradox about the anthropic principle of how that could come about. How could it be tuned when everything has to be random? Physics says it's always just random processes. Random processes, and you got these 6 things that are all perfectly tuned to each other. Impossible. So particularly in a evolving universe where there are billions and billions of possibilities. The possibilities were huge. And out of all those possibilities, just these things had to come together to make it work. Very improbable. So that gets us to the general idea. Now, with that, there's a few other things, but with that, if you take this as a model of reality, and like I say, I didn't just make this model up. I'm not a physicist that does blue sky. I'm not a physicist that's into conjecture. I got there through just old-fashioned, physics, old-fashioned see what works. While I was at Monroe's lab, and for the next 35 years afterwards, I'm trying to figure this thing out. What I'm doing is I'm looking for facts about consciousness. One of those facts I find is that consciousness is fundamental. And I know that because I can do things in consciousness that affect the physical. But there's nothing I can do in the physical that actually changes consciousness. So the arrow of causality is from consciousness to the physical. And I repeated those kinds of experiments a lot until that became a fact for me. Now I understand that things that are a fact for me are not necessarily a fact for anybody else. Everybody else who hears this hears an opinion, not a fact. And that's as it should be. I tell people, if it's not your experience, then it can't be your truth. But there's no reason that you can't have the experience that gives you that truth.